Imagine a teenage emperor barely out of his childhood, suddenly thrust into the highest position of power in one of the most formidable empires of the ancient world. He's not just any ruler. This young emperor is not content with merely holding power. He seeks to redefine it. He's declared himself a living god, a divine being walking among mortals. He throws lavish parties that are the talk of the empire, with opulence and extravagance that boggle the mind. He forces senators, the most powerful men in Rome, to watch him race chariots, a spectacle that both entertains and humiliates them. This wasn't a scene from a Hollywood movie or a work of fiction. This was the astonishing reality of ancient Rome. This was the reality of Elagabalus, the Roman emperor who shocked and scandalized the empire with his audacious behavior and radical changes. Elagabalus, originally named Varius Avitus Bassianus, ruled Rome from 218 to 222 AD. His reign, though brief, left an indelible mark on Roman history. His reign, though short, was one of the most controversial in Roman history. His actions and decisions sparked outrage and fascination in equal measure. He challenged long-standing Roman traditions, embraced a foreign religion that was alien to the Roman people, and indulged in extravagant excesses that were unprecedented. Historians still debate his motives and the extent of his alleged depravity. Was he a misunderstood reformer or a reckless hedonist? The true nature of Elagabalus remains a topic of intense scholarly debate to this day. Elagabalus remains a historical enigma. Was he a misunderstood reformer? Was he a power-hungry tyrant? Or was he simply a young man caught in the web of Roman politics? Our sources, often biased, paint a picture of a decadent and despotic ruler. They describe his lavish banquets, his obsession with his appearance, and his numerous marriages and affairs. However, these accounts were written after his death by those who opposed him. The question of Elagabalus' sanity has fascinated historians for centuries. Some argue that his behavior, though extreme, was calculated to strengthen his power. They point to his attempts to centralize religious authority and to elevate the status of his Syrian homeland. Others view Elagabalus as a victim of his upbringing. Raised in the Syrian city of Emesa as a priest of the sun god Elgabal, he was thrust into the Roman world with little preparation. He may have simply been trying to reconcile his Syrian beliefs with Roman traditions, albeit in a way that alienated the Roman elite. Elagabalus's rise to power was both swift and dramatic. His grandmother, Julia Maesa, orchestrated a revolt against the reigning emperor Macrinus, claiming that Elagabalus was the illegitimate son of the previous emperor, Caracalla. The Roman legions, eager for a new leader, rallied to Elagabalus's cause. Macrinus was defeated and killed, and the 14-year-old Elagabalus ascended to the throne. Rome, accustomed to seasoned generals and shrewd politicians, was now ruled by a teenage priest from the east. Section 5. A reign of excess and upheaval. Elagabalus's reign was marked by a series of scandals and controversies. He shocked the Roman elite by marrying a Vestal virgin, which was a sacrilege in Roman religion. He appointed his favorites, many of them alleged lovers, to high-ranking positions. His extravagant spending on lavish banquets, exotic animals, and elaborate games drained the Roman treasury. His attempts to replace Jupiter, the Roman king of the gods, with Elgabal further alienated the Roman people. Elagabalus's reign, though short, had plunged the Roman Empire into chaos. Section 6. Religious innovations and outrage. Elagabalus's most enduring legacy is perhaps his religious revolution. He attempted to impose the worship of the Syrian sun god Elgabal, whom he had served as a priest, as the supreme deity of the Roman Empire. He built a magnificent temple to Elgabal on the Palatine Hill, one of the 7 hills of Rome. He transferred sacred objects from other Roman temples, including the Palladium and the Fire of Vesta, to this new temple, much to the outrage of the Roman populace. He even instituted daily rituals and sacrifices in honor of Elgabal, forcing prominent Romans to participate. Section 7. The price of pleasure and provocation. Elagabalus's reign was characterized by hedonism and extravagance. From the moment he ascended to the throne, it was clear that his rule would be unlike any other. His court became synonymous with excess, as he surrounded himself with opulence and indulgence. The young emperor's insatiable appetite for pleasure knew no bounds, and he spared no expense in satisfying his desires. He indulged in lavish banquets with exotic dishes and rivers of wine. These feasts were legendary, featuring delicacies from the farthest reaches of the empire. Guests would recline on luxurious couches, partaking in a never-ending stream of food and drink. The air was filled with the scent of spices and the sound of laughter, as Elagabalus reveled in the sensory pleasures of the moment. He adorned himself in luxurious silks and jewels, often appearing in public in makeup and wearing a wig. His appearance was as extravagant as his lifestyle, with garments woven from the finest materials and adorned with precious stones. Elagabalus's flamboyant fashion choices were a statement of his wealth and power, but they also drew criticism and scorn from those who viewed them as unbecoming of an emperor. He reportedly filled his swimming pools with perfume and had his guests showered with rose petals. These acts of decadence were designed to impress and astonish, creating an atmosphere of unparalleled luxury. The emperor's baths were not just places of cleanliness, but of sensory indulgence, where the very water was transformed into a fragrant elixir. His sexual exploits were equally notorious. Elagabalus's personal life was a subject of endless gossip and speculation. He was known for his numerous lovers, both male and female, and his relationships were often as public as they were scandalous. The emperor's open defiance of traditional Roman sexual norms shocked and outraged many. He married and divorced several women, including a Vestal virgin, and was rumored to have had numerous male lovers. These actions were seen as sacrilegious and deeply offensive to Roman religious and social customs. The Vestal virgins were sacred priestesses, and his marriage to one was a blatant disregard for their vows of chastity. His behavior, considered scandalous even by Roman standards, further eroded his support among the Roman elite and the common people. The emperor's relentless pursuit of pleasure and his disregard for tradition alienated many of his subjects. As his reign continued, the discontent grew, and the once celebrated ruler found himself increasingly isolated and despised. Section 8. Elagabalus, a legacy of controversy. In 222 AD, after 4 years of turmoil, Elagabalus's reign came to a bloody end. His rule was marked by extreme behaviors and controversial decisions that shocked the Roman elite and commoners alike. His disregard for traditional Roman values and his eccentricities made him a polarizing figure. His own grandmother, Julia Maesa, decided he had gone too far. Julia Maesa, a powerful and influential figure in Roman politics, had initially supported Elagabalus's rise to power. However, as his actions became increasingly erratic, she realized that his behavior threatened the stability of the empire. She orchestrated his assassination, replacing him with his more moderate cousin, Alexander Severus. The assassination was a carefully planned and executed coup, reflecting the intricate and often brutal nature of Roman political life. Alexander Severus was seen as a safer choice, someone who could restore order and respectability to the throne. Elagabalus's legacy remains a subject of debate. Historians and scholars continue to argue over his true impact on Rome. Some view him as a destructive force, while others believe he was a misunderstood figure who challenged the status quo. Was he a tyrant who nearly destroyed Rome? His actions, such as appointing unqualified individuals to high positions and his open defiance of Roman religious traditions, certainly painted him as a reckless leader. Or was he a misunderstood reformer who was simply ahead of his time? Some argue that his attempts to introduce new religious practices and his unconventional lifestyle were efforts to modernize and diversify Roman culture. His story serves as a cautionary tale of the dangers of excess and the importance of respecting tradition. Elagabalus's lavish banquets and extravagant lifestyle were seen as symbols of moral decay and excess, which ultimately led to his downfall, especially in a society as deeply rooted in its customs as ancient Rome. The Roman Empire, with its rich history and deeply ingrained traditions, was not ready for the radical changes Elagabalus proposed. His reign, though short-lived, left a lasting impression on the annals of history, reminding us of the delicate balance between innovation and tradition. Section 9. What's your verdict? Elagabalus's story is a reminder that history is often written by the victors, It's a challenge to separate fact from fiction, to understand the motivations behind the actions of those who lived centuries ago. What do you think? Was Elagabalus a mad emperor, a tragic figure, or something in between? Share your thoughts. Let's unravel the mysteries of Elagabalus together.